Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Northern.
Welcome to another crossover, to the first ever crossover episode between
You son of a bitch.
the greatest show in the galaxy and the Northern Countdown. I have never had to get dressed this quickly. So,
Yes, welcome to another edition of the Northern Countdown. I'm your friendly neighborhood soda, the 11th soda for this episode, joined as always by my friends Ben Rayner and hey, that lovable weirdo down from Israel, 50 Shades of Geek. How are you doing, my man?
I'm great. I had a lot of fun last night.
Yeah, last night was actually pretty fun. For those who don't know, 50's got a show on her. If you don't know, what have you been watching? 50's always talking about the show. Every Monday night we have the greatest show in the galaxy. In this week's episode, myself, 50, and our friend Snark from the channel, we actually ranked the Doctor Who theme music.
And this is why I chose specifically this topic for today's list.
So with that segue, 50, if you wouldn't mind, introduce why what was your inspiration for the topic? Yes, that was because of the crossover, but explain the topic.
I'm just a really big fan of Doctor Who music. That is the reason I became a Doctor Who fan to begin with. And I decided to base all of this past month that we're just ending, around the topic of Doctor Who music. And I decided to also connect it to this show that I'm also doing with you guys by way of a crossover. Just a list of our top 5 favorite songs musical pieces by Murray Gold that he personally composed specifically for the Doctor Who show. As you can see, Soda's having a riveting conversation with someone on his phone that we can only hope to be privy to. But Ben, what do you think about this week's topic?
I like it.
Fucking phone number. That's my dad that called me asking me what they want to do to my dog. I told him, give him a haircut. Sorry.
Thank you for letting us in on a little rage cage match you had.
My dad knows I'm doing the show.
Parents, am I right?
Yeah.
I still remember when I had Johnny on for one of our shows, and my dad also called in the middle of a show, like halfway through the show, not even at the start of it, like halfway through the show. Did you take Johnny out for a walk? I'm like, yes, 4 times a day. What do you want from me? I'm doing a show.
Yeah, I did one time actually cursed out my dad because I used to be the one that house sat for my grandparents years ago, and they had horses and that. Every freaking night, my dad would call me, did you feed the horses? Did you feed the animals? I'm like, do you want to come up here and do it your goddamn self? Leave me alone. I'm an adult. Sorry.
Yeah. That's the thing about parents.
My dad's funky with his timing.
That's the thing about parents. They say they trust you, and then they do stuff like that.
Ben, you can come back. Sorry.
We're sorry, Ben, if we said anything wrong.
I really think you guys have your little therapy session. I didn't want to get in the middle of it.
So tell me, when did it start?
It started on the night of September 4th, 1987. It was a dark and stormy night. The lightning was out, but I still came charging through. Ben, do you know where that's from?
Sounds familiar, what?
It's Urkel, how he describes his birth.
Oh.
I came charging through.
And I knew that. I love Urkel. Even to this day, I don't know what it is, but I still find that so funny.
Yeah, it's been a bit since I've watched it.
So,
Must be on Disney Plus or something by you.
So, Mr. Soda, I heard your riveting story, and my recommendation as a therapy for this therapy session for you, my recommendation is let's talk about your top 5 favorite Doctor Who music tracks by Murray Gold.
I applaud that segue. That was actually really good.
Yeah.
So this was maybe a little easier for me for Ben because I already had music on my phone that I enjoyed, so it was easy for me. I mean, there's no honorable mentions, but my 5 was pretty straightforward.
Well, I have like 20 honorable mentions, and I'm working on listing all of them right now so I don't forget. And I will also turn on my air conditioner because I'm not doing this whole show with this coat and scarf and this heat. So I'll be back in a second.
Oh, that's what I'm doing this one.
So my number 5 first.
Yes.
6 minutes into the show, we're finally getting started. So my number 5 is actually the only original song composed by Murray Gold on my list. He did several for the modern era of the show, but this is the only one that actually made my list. And it's the Long Song from The Rings of Akatan. This is going to sound a bit morbid, but that is the song I want to be played at my funeral.
Oh, you have one of those too?
Yeah. I
Mine,
don't have a song like that already, which will probably never happen, but I have one for my funeral, which will most likely definitely happen.
actually, I have one too, but mine is The Real Hero from Avengers Endgame. It's the one they play over Stark's funeral.
I have one too. Mine is the Happy Happy Joy Joy song.
Nice. Oh boy. Just for fun, we should play. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Sorry. Anyways,
But-
with your pick.
Yeah, the song in of itself as a standalone piece, masterful, amazing, one of the best original songs written for television. But the fact that it really does fit the theme of the episode, and it's also the moment of Matt Smith standing there staring at this planet-sized monster, and the speech he gives, arguably one of his best speeches of all time. So good that it was featured during our 58th anniversary earlier this year, or rather last year, I think. And just the episode, I have some issues with it, but that one moment makes it all worthwhile, and it's the lyrics to that song and the performance by, can't remember the name of the young actress who sings it at the moment, and the BBC National Orchestra of whatever something, and I can't remember at the moment, but just it's one of the greatest moments in Doctor Who history, and the fact that it comes in the 50th anniversary season makes it all the better.
What was the name of it again?
The Long Song.
The Long.
I'm surprised you're able to talk about that episode so fondly, considering what happens in that scene.
I don't understand why you keep feeling the need to keep shoving that in my face every time we talk about it.
Because
Something
you bring it
really-
up. You bring it up every other time.
I try to stay away from it. I try to stay positive when talking about Doctor Who. It's this guy who keeps bringing up that shit. But whatever. Like I said, it's a great moment for the Doctor. If only it hadn't been undermined by Clara Oswald, just like Ben just undermined my lovable speech and my devotion to that moment, which she just did. So what the hell is your number 5, Ben? Let's see how I can ruin that for you.
I'm sorry, Fanny. Please not be mad.
Don't sorry. Stop doing this shit. Stop pulling this shit. Because you know I'm going to get you back, and I'm going to do it where it hurts. So stop that. You did the same thing last time we did it on the 58th anniversary one. So just, you're not
Okay.
saying nice, sister, which is another name of another episode, but that's beside the point.
I'm sorry. Real Nick Cam?
Sorry.
Real Nick Cam? Is that happening with you?
No, well, not for me, anyways.
Villain in camp.
No, VALEDECEM.
Valdecom.
Yeah.
Did you put it in our group chat text thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, 50s mom.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was my bad. I
Oh,
should know.
why are you apologizing? That's
Yeah, I
what we
know
do
like
on
to
this show. We bust each other's balls.
I know like to make 50 mad.
yeah, he doesn't like to make me mad because he knows I'm going to get him back, and it's going to hurt 10 times worse.
And me, I just had fun with it.
For now.
So yeah. So one more time, Ben.
I'm putting it in the private chat.
Okay.
Uh,
Live TV, folks. Vale de Chem. Does that sound familiar, 50?
Well, the Veil is the creature in Heaven Sent. But hold on.
Oh!
Oh, it's
It's the regeneration song for 10.
yeah, Regenerations. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I didn't know what it was called. That is dope.
gotta tell you, Ben, wasn't even on my list.
That is pretty cool. That is a good tune. Yeah, it didn't even make my list either.
Yeah, I have one that on my list that's similar to it, but it's not. I don't have that one.
Yeah, I do. I love it because it's in a great scene and it is multiplying that scene so much. That's when you know a good piece of music does a good job because take out that music and the scene is probably pretty good, but with that scene music, the scene is perfect.
Agreed.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go.
Nope, exactly. They're I will say this about Murray Gold. He knows how to do. He knows how to make good emotional cues in his music.
Yeah.
Like there's one when we get to it. Don't be surprised if I actually start getting goosebumps and might shed a little tear. You've been called out by your mom.
You're on my list too, Missy.
Missy, is she your master? She the master dude?
The mistress.
So my number, okay, so my number 5 is actually from season 2 of the revival. It is the track Doomsday. It's actually a really good, solid, long piece, and it has a lot of the themes that we hear throughout the season. One of which will appear on my list again. But it perfectly encapsulates, for me, it encapsulates basically the seriousness of the situation they're in. Because at this point, the Doctor knows that in order to save the world, he has to distance himself from Rose, and the beats that play throughout that decision, it's one of those that stays with me. I can listen to that song no problem, and I don't need the context of the video. It's just the music perfectly conveys everything to me.
Yeah, and this is very interesting now because my mom, who was in the chat, was at my place yesterday, and we started a rewatch of Doctor Who.
Yep.
For Trash because she hasn't seen it in years and she's forgotten a lot of stuff. So yesterday we finally got caught up to the Doomsday episode, and she made a total mess of it. She just kept asking questions. Why can't he go back and see her? Why can't he? We already went to the other universe. Why does she have to die? She doesn't die. And I remember in a fit of rage, I just ended up yelling at her, "Mom, it's a sad moment. Cry."
Listen, can I ask you a question?
I'll allow it for now.
What?
I'll allow it for now.
When you do a rewatch on Doctor Who, like with your mom, do you go back to the classic or do you not Eccleston?
And she does not have the patience for the classic series. I'm not even going to try and
Not
bother.
a lot of people do.
Not a lot of people are me.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
I
Broke the mold.
mean, yeah, you're unique.
All
You're
right.
unique in your own way.
These days, I'll finally get her to sit down and watch the classic series, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Well, do it if your mom's ever bedridden in a hospital, a full body cast. That's when you do it because you know she's
Yeah,
like, no,
when
no.
she can't refuse.
Exactly.
Nah, she'll find a way to, you know.
50. What's yours?
Oh yeah, it's mine. My turn. I was so
Number 4.
my honorable mention. So
No, number 4.
no, I said my number 4.
And
Didn't I?
you in your honorable mention.
No, I said I got caught up writing my honorable mention.
Uh,
That's why I lost you for a second. So my number 4, again, don't need the context of the episode to get me, but it does help, and I'm in tears every time I see that part of the episode, and it's a track simply by the name of "This Is Gallifrey, Our Home, Our Childhood." That's the name of the track, and it's the song.
but
Well, fuck you too, then. Go ahead. What's your number 4?
the shepherd's boy.
Punt. Go ahead, Soda.
This is actually the one I just alluded to as part of Doomsday when I said multiple themes. This is actually the Doctor's theme from that same season. For 50 probably knows what it is, but Ben, it's the one where you hear that female voice going, or I think that's how that goes. But anyways,
It's actually Eccleston's theme, but never mind.
you're right, but it's actually listed as the Doctor's theme. I don't know if it's because they just on the album they just put a bunch of different season stuff together, anyways. But yeah, it's a pretty good theme. It's not bombastic. It's not overstated. It's very understated. It's almost ethereal in a way. And if it actually, funny enough, it did become more synonymous with Rose later on, if I'm not mistaken. 50, right?
No, it became much more synonymous with the Doctor because you can literally hear it after Capaldi regenerates into Whittaker.
Really?
Yeah. In
Okay.
Twice Upon a Time, the ending, after Capaldi regenerates, you can hear that theme played one last time. For now, because, obviously Marigold is coming back. That's the point.
Yeah, no, it's the Doctor's theme. Murray Gold's really good at writing themes for his characters. He really is.
Yeah, he's a master. Like I keep saying, he's the John Williams of Doctor Who.
Now, 50. I'm gonna let you go next, just because I don't have much more I can say about the Doctor's theme. But the next 3 I have on my list, I can definitely talk a lot more about.
Okay, sounds very interesting. So my number 3 is a pun from earlier, which is the Shepherd's Boy. It's
Okay.
the main problem with it is it was constantly butting heads with my number 2 to claim the number 2 spot on my list. It was constantly I was constantly switching my number 2 and my number 3. At the end of the day, it just came down to what eventually became my number 2. I had more time to listen to it, which is why it's higher up on my list. But the Shepherd's Boy, again, you do not need the context of the episode to bring me to tears. I love that piece of music, and obviously it was featured in one of my all-time favorite Doctor Who episodes. And when I say all-time, I'm including the classic series in it. It's one of the best Doctor Who episodes ever made, and it's just a masterpiece of an episode. Just Peter Capaldi, mostly on his own. It's a character piece. It's just Peter Capaldi in a revolving set, getting the absolute freedom to do whatever he wants, and it culminates in him punching the wall and the story of the Shepherd's Boy by the Brothers Grimm. And it's Stephen Moffat's way of bringing real world literature into his Doctor Who stories, but doing it with a bit of a twist, and just it's
What a twist!
yeah, it's What a twist! It's sad and happy and angry and so many emotions all at the same time. And when he finally breaches that wall with that final punch, it just it makes or breaks the entire episode. And that is the main. Finally, in that scene, you understand what all the things that happened in the episode mean and why they matter so much. And the fact that it was reused again in the Doctor Falls when he's fighting off all the Cybermen, and you hear it again in Capaldi's last speech when he regenerates, and it's one of the best pieces of music ever, and especially in the world of Doctor Who. So go ahead, Ben. Why do you like it less than me? Because it was your number 4.
I mean, I can't really add much more than that. I agree with everything you said. It's beautiful. I love every time it shows up. It's emotional. And yeah, it is. I can't.
The hell is wrong with you?
We're not fighting.
Let them hash it out. Sorry.
We're not fighting.
It was just a dumb moment on my part.
Well, why do you have to keep stirring the pot, Soda?
Somebody asked me.
Go ahead, the honorable and respectable Mr. Ben. Proceed.
Like I said, I can't really add much more to it than what you said. It's a wonderful piece of music. It adds everything. It adds to scenes when it needs to, and it gets you in the emotional heart. That's all. I really don't have that much more to say about it. I'm sorry.
No, thank you. So now, Mr. Provocateur, what is your number 3?
It is another.
Wait.
No. It's my turn.
Sorry, it's Ben's turn.
Sorry, the Provocateur threw me off a little bit. I'm like, I'm the pot stir. Stir.
My number 3 comes from Donna's first episode, but not from her season, from Martha's season, The Doctor Forever.
Good tune.
This song, this music, and I don't know, it's very infectious, it gets you excited, kind of has like a Pirates of the Caribbean vibe to it, and I loved it, it gets the blood boiling, really fun piece of excitement that happens when the Doctor is on a train, I want to say train, if I remember correctly. Maybe bus.
It's when he's rescuing Donna.
No, they're like traveling somewhere.
Yeah, so it's a sort of freeway, I believe, not a train.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think that track plays during that scene though. I'm pretty sure that song debuts in the actual season when he's already traveling with Martha. I don't. Again, I watched it last night with my mom. I don't remember that song being featured in The Runaway Bride.
Maybe it's an episode right after. Yeah, I remember watching it. And
it is part of that season, yes. 50's right.
Season 3. They tried to improve on it in Voyage of the Damned. Didn't quite work, so they just went back to the proper one for season 4.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have that much more to say. It's a great song. Gets me going every time I listen to it. Yeah. Anybody have any thoughts about this other than me?
No, it's another good piece, especially when it's used as a motif throughout the season.
All right. Yeah. It's a motif for the 10th Doctor. So, Mr. Agent Provocateur, what is your number 3?
It is the other theme song for the Doctor from that era. It is "I Am the Doctor." What I like about this is when you're listening to it.
Oh, wait. What is number 3? I'm sorry, I missed that.
The Doctor. It is the 11th Doctor.
But.
Okay.
It was a tough omission for me. But so my number 2, that constantly battles with my number 3, the dark and endless Dalek Night. I've always loved the Daleks theme song from the beginning, from the Eccleston series, but that song, which was originally written specifically for the Stolen Earth and Journey's End, is a masterpiece of villain music. It's like Murray Gold went out of his way. I keep comparing him to John Williams of Doctor Who. This was his Imperial March, and he wrote it for the Daleks. Conveniently, another sci-fi villain based on Nazis, but it perfect. Fuck you.
Sorry.
Music in that episode, it perfectly encapsulates the fear and terror that the Daleks inspire in people's hearts, and just the way that, when it comes down, when you hear the theme itself, when all the Dalek spaceships come down, pouring down on Earth, destroying cities and blasting military targets all up in the air, and the fact that it was reused again for the Time War, and it became synonymous with Daleks and Dalek-related wars, and just the inclusion of orchestral sounds and choirs and operatic sounds, which was a Murray Gold decision from pretty much day one, since he first started working on Doctor Who-related music for the revival era. It comes into a magnificent and it's a kind of magnificent climax in that one episode, and it defines that era of Daleks for future generations. And I believe a part of it was used for Victory of the Daleks, but not the full version of the theme.
Right on. I don't have any. I unfortunately don't have anything to add on that. And I'm assuming neither does Ben. And it's bystander, not bystandered. Bystander is not even a word.
And it's an innocent, not a innocent.
What you got?
I told you. It's gonna come back and bite you in the face. So
all right,
while we're prepared to change our names again, what is your number?
I'm just editing his.
My number 2 is a put from Area 50. This is Gallifrey or childhood or home. I mean, you probably couldn't speak more on this than I can, but I love this music. It's so emotional. And man, you really get the Doctor's past just from listening to this music, in my opinion. And it really is a good representation of what it all really came from, in my opinion, again. 50.
Like I said, it brings me to tears every time I listen to it. And first of all, the explanation when he's explaining his origin and the history of Gallifrey. We get so much history from Gallifrey that completely retcons everything that's was already set up in comics and audio adventures. But we'll let it slide for now. But then it comes back again at the end of Last of the Time Lords, which is very fitting of that title of the episode, where he holds his friend, his enemy, his frenemy, his best friend, and his most vicious rival, the Master, in his arms as he's dying and refusing to regenerate, and he has to do a Darth Vader-style burial with burning his body at the edge of nowhere somewhere, and just it brings me back to that moment from Return of the Jedi of Luke burning the body of his father. Of course, he comes back later because he's the master. That's beside the point. But that piece of music just brings me to tears every single time. It officially kind of became the unofficial music theme for Gallifrey. It's slightly a variation of it is slightly featured in the Doctor's Daughter when he's talking about his planet. You can hear a much more sinister version of it at the beginning of The End of Time Part 2, and it's the thing that Murray Gold does best, and I'm sorry to say Segan Akinowa does not, is make identifiable themes for characters and planets and aliens. There's an iconic, recognizable song for the Daleks, as I just mentioned, for the Cybermen, and now for Gallifrey. Is the Gallifrey theme song. It's like if there was a Doctor Who video game, that is the song that will be playing in the background when you visit Gallifrey. Like, you know how in some open world games, each city and each section of a city has its own unique theme. That's it for Gallifrey, and there really is not much I can say about it.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have anything to say on this, just because it's not one that I connected with. Like, it's just one that I didn't like. Oh, what's this?
Well, you're allowed to be wrong, sort of.
Yeah.
You know what?
Thank you for agreeing with me, Ben.
You know what? Just wait till I start talking about my number one, asshole.
Speaking of which, what's number two?
Ben? Oh, that's my number two.
Yeah.
I just have an answer, a quick word question. Okay, sorry. My number two, I'm going to put a disclaimer on this because I apologize in advance for anything 50 might say or rant during this. My number two is the song Clara.
Clara's main theme, or the one that the Doctor makes into a guitar song?
It's the main theme.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. Say what you will about Clara. I love this theme song. It's very whimsical, where you know where Clara is going. It doesn't quite add up, but at the beginning of her story, it makes perfect sense for her character. Because you don't quite know who she is, and this song it's got that mystery to it, and it's Murray Gold made a really, really good motif. That this is actually one that I will just randomly hum to myself, just because it's so simple but yet so beautiful. And you hear it through the whole. It's one that they kept throughout all of Clara's time on the show.
Mm-hmm. So. Even used in the pilot episode of Class. There's a moment where the Doctor makes a cameo and he sees Clara's name on the list of the dead at the Cold Hill Academy. Yeah. And at that point, remember, he doesn't remember who she is, but there's a moment of maybe, and then he goes back into the TARDIS. And it's used again, which shows it back up again.
And
at the end of,
another great reason, basically with what you just said, it put in musical terms, it is a song that is easily translatable into a leitmotif, which is what that is. When you see Clara's name on the wall, and you just hear the undertones of her theme song, it is definitely a song that is perfectly written for a rendition like that. So that's why it's my number two on my list. Because it's so beautiful.
Like I said, the master of making identifiable themes for characters. Just like Superman has his own theme, Batman has his own unique theme, the Avengers have their own theme, Yoda has his own theme. Every character in Star Wars has their own theme. Murray Gold does that for Doctor Who characters.
Yeah, the way it's constructed too, you can almost like dance to it. And I don't mean like dance; I mean like dance with a partner to it. The way the beat of it, 1, 2, 3. It's almost like almost like a waltz.
I can see that.
Yeah, almost. If waltz is in 3/4, this is not, but it's definitely got that feeling of a waltz. Okay, that's my number two. So I actually don't have any honorable mentions. I'm assuming Ben does not either.
No.
50.
Good, because I made enough honorable mentions for all four.
Yeah, I was
all
gonna
three
say,
of us.
read off your honorable mentions for the three of us.
Okay, so my long list of honorable mentions, which potentially could add some more on top of it while I'm reading this off. I have Rose's theme, Martha's theme, a little bit of a cheat because it's technically not a Doctor Who theme, but it's the theme, the main theme for Torchwood, the show, not the one that appeared in
It's in
Army
the
of
universe.
Darkness.
It should count.
Yeah, it does count. That's why it's an honorable mention. So yeah, Torchwood, he's a doctor. Clara's theme, a good man. Missy's theme, the Cybermen theme, the Daleks theme, all the strange creatures. The theme from Doomsday, the theme from School Reunion, which apparently doesn't really have much of a name because they can't find it anywhere. The Master of Inglorious, the main theme for Doctor Number 9, which you pointed out. The main theme for David Tennant's Doctor, which is different from the Doctor Forever, but it's also one that I have on my list. Scarecrow's March into War, Donna's theme, plus Donna's ending from her final 2 episodes, Davros's theme from The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, Yana, which is just a different alteration of All the Strange Creatures, and finally the rendition of He's a Doctor, which was primarily used for Day of the Doctor and most notably used during the No Sir All 13 scene. Bing, bing, ching, ding. So, yeah.
Right on. That is definitely a lot of honorable mentions.
The guy does a lot of music, okay?
Yeah, he does.
And very rarely has any duds, if any at all.
Yep.
All right, time for our number one. So 50, your number one.
The Song of Freedom. Sang originally by the Oods on Planet of the Ood, but then features a much more grandiose version in Journey's End when the Doctor and friends tow the planet Earth back into its proper orbit. And the use of Latin for that song, and if you actually go online and translate what those Latin words actually mean, it makes sense even more to be associated with the Oods. And it's such almost like a prayer type song, and it fits the scene so well that it just, you cannot help but having tears of joy when all the gang are towing the Earth back together and they're all having fun in the TARDIS. The TARDIS finally, for the first time on screen at least, being piloted the way it should be with 6 pilots, I should say. And when they all hug each other at the end, and it's like Rose hugging Martha for the first time, and Donna with Captain Jack, and Jack and Mickey high-fiving each other, and just all of that. Yes, someone did his homework. There's a reason I chose this topic.
Yeah, but is it really homework if it's easy?
Is it really homework if you're enjoying it?
No.
So yeah, there goes that. But yeah, thank you for ruining my moment, Mom. But yeah, that was my my absolute number one favorite Murray Gold piece ever, not including any of the intro themes for which we talked about last night, and you can all see it on Monday. And then finally,
can I just add something? One of my favorite moments happens in that scene when everybody is pirating the TARDIS.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, me too.
I know where you're going. Now, Jack, you hold that. Mickey, you hold that. Martha, steady this. Rose, that. No, Jackie, no. Please, just don't do anything. Just stand away.
You know, I've been getting the urge. Something's like I gotta rewatch Ted and stuff, and I think I might do it, just because. Since I became friends with you, 50, it made me realize that Tennant's stuff is probably the most special and well consistently written out of all the stuff I've seen. It's just good.
Well, quick reminder: the anniversary is coming up in a few months, so
yeah,
maybe that gives you the urge to rewatch it.
Well, no. I think I'm going to. I think I'm actually going to grab hold of my DVDs and do like I used to do and just watch everything that's on there. Because I own the Tennant stuff from the original BBC DVD.
Like I said, the Tennant stuff is rather the RTD stuff is the stuff I watched the most.
Yeah.
It was just constantly on my dad's VOD, which was for free at the time. And being a child of divorced parents, I went to see my dad once every 2 weeks for a weekend. And basically all I did was rewatch all 4 seasons back to 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 back. That's why I know all the stuff so well. I know it practically by heart.
Yeah, yeah, you do. But
I used to just watch a season in less than a day.
It ain't fair to say that Tennant's tenure was more episodic than Matt Smith.
Yes, because he does have those episodes that sort of merge into one another.
yeah,
Like the ending of The Rebel Flesh transitioning into A Good Man Goes to War and then transitioning into Let's Kill Hitler, which was like 6 months away from each other. So,
yeah, Stephen Moffat was really, really good at that. But one thing I do love about Robert Russell Davies stuff is the episodes we get like Journey's End, where it's everyone coming together. All first, like
it's a massive
Don't get me wrong. I actually like the more episodic nature of Tennant's stuff rather than the continuous storyline from Matt Smith's stuff.
yeah, Matt Smith stuff it's for the most part more noticeable. Like the story's long arc, whereas Tennant stuff, you've got your episodic TVs, but with like the overshadow of the arc, it's always put in there in just little bit ways. Whereas Smith, to me, at least his era kind of seemed more on the nose.
Well, that's just the thing about Doctor Who in general, because it has all these different versions of how to make television. Because remember, in the original classic series, every single story was serialized into parts. And for most of the William Hartnell era, every single one of those parts has a different name to it. So it's a little harder to distinguish. And only by the end, they start adding just episode 1, episode 2, and then later on, part 1, part 2, part 3, part that. And it was the Colin Baker series which popularized they actually tried some new stuff with having 45-minute episode for the first time, and then later they tried a full-on seasonal arc with the Trial of the Time Lord. Then they tried it again recently with Jodie Whittaker with a Flux. That's the thing about Doctor Who. It keeps trying new stuff. It doesn't just do television one way and one way only, because that's the standard normal that everyone else is doing. It's a very experimental series, which is the main reason it's lasted this long. It wasn't the changing of the actors alone that kept the show alive. It was the experimentation part of it that every era is very, very indistinguishable from the other.
Well, there's another way to put it. There's another way that I can probably put it that maybe people might connect with. Look at it like a comic book run. Think of Batman. It's the same character we've had for 80 years at this point. But we've had all these different showrunners, or in the case of comic books, we've had all these different artists. And basically, everybody puts their own spin on the same character, and that's what these guys do with Doctor Who. It is, at its core, the same character, but it's everyone's different interpretation of it.
Well, it's like James Bond. Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the show so much. It's a televised live-action comic book, which also has comic books of its own iterations of it, and Big Finish stuff, and other special releases. It's like Doctor Who is not one thing on its own. It could be anything and everything, which is why that show is so special to so many people.
All right, Ben, you're number 1.
In the first video from you, in Matt Smith's I'm the Doctor song. I mean, when the first time you hear it, when he does the 4th time, and you see all the doctors, what?
I said, I'm agreeing with you. That scene where he's pulls out his me, I'm the doctor.
and basically won.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
And it's a badass song describing the Doctor as a badass, and it it's so okay. Yeah, I just love it so much. It's everything you want when you introduce a new Doctor. It gets you interested and it pays respect to the old, but also
Exactly.
introduces you to the new.
And also doesn't help the moment we hear it, like we just said, when he pulls out the bow tie. It's just that is, as I know, as much as I just said, like consistently, Tennant's era is the best. But when it comes to me, first episodes for a Doctor, 11th Hour is number one.
Yep.
It's number one, partially because of the music, partially because of the acting, partially because of the story. Overall, great introduction to the characters.
That was that scene, because up until that point, I did not like the idea of a new Doctor. And it was weird because at that point, I've already seen all the classic series. And I knew that Tennant was going to go eventually. It was my favorite Doctor. And I was going through demotions. I was going through growing pains, in a way, of not wanting to give up on my favorite Doctor. He was my Doctor. Who's this guy coming into, in my head at the time, ruined the show. And there was that moment that solidified him as one of my favorite Doctors. He won me over in that just one episode. And it's really hard to argue with what you just said of first episode for each Doctor. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I like Spearhead from Space. I like 100,000 BC.
Yeah, now see, you've obviously seen all the classic ones, so I don't have that context.
Yeah,
so
I love
they are better, but I'm just saying, like, but the 11th Hour is just something special about it.
And that's what I'm trying to say. I can't really think of anyone that's better executed as an episode than 11th Hour.
What's interesting is, like, that season started off on such a high, and what came after that was kind of like a little muddy at times. So, if I'm honest, I think some of the earlier episodes of that season, I think, are the weaker of the Matt Smith episodes.
Of season one, his first season.
His first season, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. He started on such a high with the 11th Hour. Then the Beast Below came and sort of sullied it a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't hate Victory of the Daleks. I love the Angels episodes, but
for me, like, it's what it really kicks into overdrive that season when Rory dies. Spoilers.
Which time?
The first time.
Well, actually, the first time he dies is on Amy's Choice. So
okay. Fair point. But okay, the one where he goes into the crack in time and completely gets wiped from existence. How's about that?
I'll allow it.
That's for when the show kickstarts and becomes the show with Matt Smith.
It's because immediately after that, you get the Van Gogh episode.
Exactly, you get the Van Gogh episode, and then you've got the Pandorica opens and the Big Bang. Like that, the Pandorica opens is a great episode.
And you also got Craig Owens. Don't forget about him.
That episode, I really do. I think it's a lot of fun.
Which one is that?
That's the one where he becomes the roommate to James Corden.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him.
I Closing Time is better because they play into a lot of stuff, but I like the chemistry between Matt Smith and James Corden. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little less set up with James Corden, the person, the better.
Sure. All right, my number one. It's Goodbye Pond. Because of course it is. This is an interesting song because of the place of how it's used. So the scene, they just defeat the Weeping Angels, or so they think. And the Angels take Manhattan and they arrive. You think everything's going to be joyous, and then but the music, there's something about it where it's just like, there's more. And then that's when you see Rory see the tombstone, and then he disappears. And then Amy realizes what happened, and then the music just starts to get a little more intense, a little more grandiose. and then she makes her decision just as the music's about to explode. She disappears. The doctor, I'm getting goosebumps just describing this right now.
Yeah.
The doctor lets out this guttural scream just as the music hits its heart-wrenching crescendo. The music underscores this emotional scene, and just thinking about it, like hell, I described this scene to my mom years ago, and I burst out into tears, partially because of the music.
One thing I don't understand, maybe you can explain it to me. Lori disappears, and then Amy disappears. Didn't they end up in the same place?
50 people will answer this probably better than me. I think
Same
they,
place, but years later, years earlier.
but when she got put back, did she get put back into the same point in time as he did?
Yeah, it was the same angel. It was the same angel because in Blink, the doctor mentions to Billy Shipton that it was that the same angel that touched him because he got sent to the same exact point.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that's right. Okay. I never actually thought about that. No, that actually makes perfect sense.
You always gotta pay attention to what the doctor says. It might save your life one day. And can I just bring this up?
Yeah.
It's like the Stephen Moffat way of introducing great characters in Clara and just torturing them to death. Like, why do you hate your characters so much, Stephen? And someone even actually called him out, and he's like, in a Comic-Con once, he's like, so clearly the 11th Doctor is your favorite because you gave him the longest amount of time. And Stephen Moffat was like, what do you mean I gave him the longest amount of time? I love him so much that I trapped him on a planet with no hope of escaping for 1,000 years. I love him that much.
One more thing before I sign off, though. It's after that scene when Matt Smith is reading the page he ripped out from the book earlier, and it's Amy's farewell letter. And what I love most about that is that when they were filming the scene, Karen Gillan was just off camera actually reading the letter.
Let me
breaks down like he does because she was off screen reading the letter.
Let me ask you this. When he ripped it out at the beginning of the episode, was that then already on that page?
Yeah, because we won't believe timey-wimey.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something I like, okay.
All right. So, Ben, what is your list for next week?
Okay, I've been thinking really hard about this. Top 5 seasons that when the show you watch becomes the show you love.
Gotcha. Okay, so when the show becomes the show.
Yeah.
So, first seasons don't count?
Some do. I mean, most of the time when you watch a show, Doctor Who might be an exception, but most of the time, it takes a season or two for the show to really get to me.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about, for once, I'm not talking about Doctor Who this time. I'm talking about other shows. Like, a lot of shows, the first season is their best.
I don't know about that.
Not every show, right? There are a lot of shows I can think of that the first season is the best.
Like Friends really didn't become the show for me until like season 3. Season 2. Parks and Rec really doesn't become the show until season 3 when Brandanowitz leaves and Adam and Chris come in. The Office doesn't become the show until they introduce same third season until they introduce Ed Helms and those characters. So I don't know.
Let me rephrase what I just said. So a lot of shows know what they want to be from the get-go, even though their first season is not the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so not already knowing what they want to be, just when they finally hit the ground.
When the show cracks the code.
Okay, I get you. I get you.
Okay.
I think that can be really fun because
It's gonna be interesting because Ben and I like whenever we talk about what we're watching a lot, and it is something that is definitely brought up whenever we're watching a TV show. It's just like, oh, that's when the show becomes the show.
yeah.
All right. Well then, 50. Since this was your list, I'll let you just start the exits.
All right, so you can find me wearing this incredibly hot and sweaty coat and scarf combination 2 days from now on Monday with my good friend Soda and my other good friend Snark talking about Doctor Who intro themes on Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I have my own channel that is currently put on hiatus, but I might be planning some new stuff in the coming weeks. Stay tuned for that.
And Ben, what about you?
You can find me at my Twitter Ben_radio. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Immortal Physics Kingdom. We have a lot of fun shows. Come check that out. You can find me right here every Tuesday. I'll be right at the tape at the soda here. And every Sunday morning I'm like, Northern Countdown.
And as for myself, you can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. And you can find me on the shows on this channel that these two lovely gentlemen have mentioned. You can also find me Wednesday nights on our wrestling show on this channel, The Squared Slice. And then this afternoon, you can find me over the Let's Get Ready Network on what is the final episode under its original name, The Dropkicks, the wrestling show over there. And we will be talking about what is arguably the biggest wrestling news story to hit, at least in my lifetime, in my 34 years in existence. Vince McMahon stepping down and retiring from WWE. Definitely tune into to the Dropkicks to see what my opinions are on that and what Dagan's opinions are on that. It's going to be a great conversation. So, on behalf of myself, Ben 50, thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments if you're a Doctor Who fan. What are some of your favorite Murray Gold tracks? Or even hell, what are some of your favorite Doctor Who tracks, period? It doesn't have to be Murray Gold. Let us know. I'm sure 50 will have great conversations with you about it. So, on behalf of us, thank you very much, and we will see you next time on the Northern Countdown. So long, folks.